Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to tackle one of the biggest and, let's be honest, most stressful decisions a student has to make: picking the right computer for college.
So you're buying a new computer for school, right? It's a huge purchase. And if you're looking at all the options out there and just feeling completely overwhelmed, yeah, you're not alone. We've all been there.
And it's because the stakes feel super high, don't they? I mean, you're not just buying some gadget. This is going to be your main tool for the next 4 years. Think about it. All those late-night study sessions, all those final papers, it all happens on this machine. And the tech jargon, it can feel like you're trying to crack a secret code.
But hey, don't worry. We're going to cut right through all that confusion. Here's the plan. First, we'll figure out what you actually need. Then, we'll talk about the different platforms. After that, how to get the best value. Then we'll decode all that tech jargon. And finally, we'll put together a checklist so you can make a really smart investment.
Okay, let's dive right in with the single most important step. Seriously, before you even look at a single model or price tag, you have to get real about how you're actually going to use this thing.
And I mean brutally honest. It is so easy to get distracted by the shiniest, fastest, most powerful machine on the shelf. But really, the goal here is simple: match the tool to the job you need it to do.
So, really think about your major and your habits. Are you going to be writing papers and doing research? Or are you in a film class that requires heavy-duty video editing? Maybe you're running complex engineering or design software. And hey, let's not forget the classic 2 a.m. research session with 50 tabs open. We've all been there. Plus, are you going to be hauling this thing between classes and the library all day? All of this stuff matters.
All right. So once you have that clear picture of your why, the next big step is choosing your platform. Are you a Mac, PC, or Chrome person, and do you need a laptop or a desktop? This is where we really start to narrow down that overwhelming field of options.
Okay, let's break this down. And the most important thing to remember here is that it's not about which one is better. It's about which one is better for you. Macs are amazing and often the go-to for creative fields, but they definitely have a higher price tag. PCs, on the other hand, give you a massive range of prices and models, and sometimes certain software for, say, engineering or business will only run on Windows. And then there's Chrome OS. If you basically live in your web browser and Google Docs, a Chromebook can be an absolutely fantastic and super budget-friendly choice. And that brings us to the next big decision: laptop or desktop? This is really a classic trade-off between portability and power. I mean, if you need to take notes in class or work from the library, a laptop is pretty much non-negotiable. But if you're the type who does most of your heavy lifting at your desk, a desktop gives you way more power for your money. Plus, it's so much easier and cheaper to upgrade later on.
So, you've got your platform and you know if you want a laptop or a desktop. Now let's talk about the fun part: getting the most bang for your buck. This is super important, especially when you're on a student budget.
And this right here is such a key piece of advice. You really don't always need the latest and greatest brand new model, especially if you're just writing papers and browsing the web. A refurbished computer, one that's been professionally inspected and updated, can be a total game changer for your wallet. It can save you a ton of money.
But if you go the refurbished route, you've got to be a smart shopper. The key is knowing who you're buying from. Is it an authorized professional? You also want to ask about things like warranties. A good one should come with at least a 3-month warranty. That's kind of the standard. That warranty is your safety net. And make sure you know what's actually included in the box.
Okay, deep breaths, everyone. This is the part where we get into the tech specs. And I know this is where a lot of people's eyes just glaze over, but stick with me. I promise we're going to make this super simple with a few easy analogies so you'll know exactly what to look for.
First up is the CPU, the central processing unit. The easiest way to think about this is that it's the brain of the computer. It does all the processing, all the thinking. And a little pro tip: having more cores is usually better than just having a higher clock speed, because it means the brain can multitask and juggle more things at once without slowing down.
All right, next up is RAM. If the CPU is the brain, think of RAM as your desk space. It's your short-term active workspace. The more RAM you have, the bigger your desk is, which means you can have more books, papers, and projects open at the same time without everything becoming a giant, slow mess.
And that brings us to storage. So if RAM is your active desk space, storage is the big filing cabinet where you keep everything long-term: your files, your software, all your photos. And here is probably the most important tip in this whole section. Always go for a solid-state drive, or SSD. It's so much faster than the old-school hard drives, and it makes the entire computer feel incredibly snappy.
Okay, so this slide is basically your cheat sheet. You might even want to screenshot this one. The basic use column, think of that as your absolute bare minimum. But if you're a power user, if you're doing any kind of video editing, design work, or coding for your classes, you really need to be aiming for the specs in that right-hand column. It'll make your life so much easier. All right, we are in the home stretch. We've figured out the why and we've decoded the tech specs. Now let's wrap this all up with a final checklist to make sure you're making a truly smart investment. Look, you've already done all the hard work of figuring out what you actually need. So think of these questions as your final filter to compare your top 2 or 3 options. Don't underestimate the value of a good warranty or solid tech support. They can be absolute lifesavers. And please, before you click buy, check out some reviews from trusted sites. It's the best way to avoid any nasty surprises.
And just so you know, we put this whole explainer together based on a really comprehensive computer buying guide from the folks over at TechSoup. They are absolute pros at helping people make smart tech decisions, so a big thanks to them for the great info.
So, as you get ready to make your choice, I want to leave you with this one last thought. Are you just buying a laptop, or are you investing in the next 4 years of your life? Because that's really what this is. The right tool can make your entire college experience smoother, more productive, and honestly, way less stressful. So take your time and choose wisely.